My shirt matches the axolotl.
Axolotl.
Whatever it is.
Whatever. You definitely belong there.
Hello, Meghan and Johanna from Travelers Paranormal. This is going to be a presentation that Meghan gave at the Haunted Graves Paracon in Mayfield, Kentucky last year, answering or looking at questions on space and time and how we look at that in the paranormal field. So what is space? Space is the dimension, height, depth, width within which all things exist. What is time? Progress of existence, moments in past, present, and future. So these things together, space and time, frame our ability to understand the world in which we exist and how we are connected to it. Whatever we may be experiencing, we will always be experiencing it within space and time. And so how does that relate to the paranormal?
So the philosophy of space and time is thought to answer questions. And these are questions of ontology, which is the study of being, and epistemology, which is the study of knowing. Ontology comes from Greek on, meaning to be, and it asks, among other things, whether space and time exist independently of the mind, independently of one another, and do times other than the present actually exist. Epistemology is from Greek episteme, which means to know. And questions with that can be, how do we know what boundaries are? What are space and time? Why does it matter? And so basically, when we're thinking about these questions, we're asking the how, the what, and the why of when and where. So digging in a little bit further into space, just tracing some of the philosophy of it. I started with Plato, a Greek philosopher who lived around 428 to 348 BCE. He defined space as chora, which is that in which things came to be. Aristotle, his student, lived around 384 to 322, and he defined space as topos. The place of an object is the innermost motionless boundary of that which surrounds it. Between 1750, huge time jump, there was a lot more philosophy of space. But between 1715 and 1716, Gottfried Leibniz and Samuel Clarke, with the assistance of Isaac Newton, wrote some famous letters between each other, discussing tons of theological and philosophical topics, including space and time. Newton and Clarke both held that space and time existed in and of themselves in objective realities. Leibniz insisted that space and time are both relative. He held that space was an order of coexistences as time is an order of successions. And then in the 19th century, physicist Ernest Mach argued that as long as there was one other object in the universe, the argument against absolute space stands. So as long as there is something else anywhere, space is relative. It's not objective.
So when we're looking at a paranormal investigation, right, we're trying to understand a maybe more metaphysical existence, but we can only understand that in the physical existence we have that are bound by space and time. So we have a few interesting examples of how space and time are interacting. So the first time we were going to the Monroe house, I had done a lot of research into that location. I traced the ownership back to Peter Wire, who was an American revolutionary soldier, and he was given a plot of land in lieu of payment. America was a brand new country, didn't really have money. Some of the soldiers that couldn't be paid that fought in the Revolutionary War were paid in land. We had a lot of that, right? So he was the first one that when I was tracing back property ownership, I got to him. Now that property, that 80 acres or so that he was given, was divided and broken up and all sorts of stuff throughout time from the time he was given it to the time that we were there. And a lot of the haunting stories that we hear with the house on Monroe Street doesn't necessarily make sense to things that I can find in like newspaper articles about that house. In particular, a lot of reports of fire. Now, in the basement, there is charred wood, but that's by like a coal chute. And so it may actually look that way because of the coal chute. The other theory is that that wood was repurposed from other buildings that may have had fire, but there's no newspaper account of a fire in that house. Interestingly enough, lightning did strike the house, but nobody was hurt in it, and it didn't set a fire. So that's been one of our big questions when we go and we're researching and investigating in that house. Where is this fire? Because it is a constant thing that people get. So we have this physical location, we have these reports of fire, but I can't find the fire in history for that location. Do you play the video? Or do
I
do
would play the
ontology?
video and then do the ontology. Can you let him in? If he's out there, just let him in. Don't say no. Just
You want
Monopoly.
No. Come on, bud.
Just you, though. Come here. Come here, old man. Come here.
Do you want to be in our video?
Come here. Come here, sir. Oh my gosh. Because you have to stay with us. Okay? I would play the videos for all of them and then do the ontology and epistemology. If you go down, you have to go out. So whenever you're ready.
Did I get everything I needed from that?
I think so. Like, just do I'm going to play you a clip.
Sorry, we had to take a moment to get a cat.
He was crying.
He needed to come in the room. Say hi, Napoli. All right. So I'm going to play a clip from one of our investigations at the house on Monroe Street, and then we'll talk about that.
If you were in a fire on Jefferson Street, why are you here? Nobody listens?
So Meghan mentioned ontology and epistemology. So when we look at this, the space exists for the spirits. There's a space which is their own space, as the spirit acknowledges in that video, Jefferson Street. But he's made his own space here on Monroe Street. He's come to where people are listening. Through research and the willingness or openness to listen, we can learn a connection between those different spaces. So he has left where there was a fire on Jefferson Street to come to Monroe Street, and he's communicating with us that way. In another investigation, when we talk about space and time, it's what does that building look like, right? Like there's always this classic story of seeing a spirit just walk through a wall and totally disappear, right? So how does that happen, or why does that happen? What does that mean for space and time when we're investigating? We were at Bobby Mackey's Music World, which was a honky-tonk built where there'd been a former casino and club, which was over a house in the basement around a well. There's a lot going on there. And we were using dowsing rods, and we were at the well at the center of this house in this casino club that was now a honky-tonk.
Careful, old man. Careful, old man. If you
can't get down, buddy. You gotta stay at Meghan. Do you want to put him on the desk and see if he stays on the desk?
He's immediately going to jump down.
Hi, buddy. You're showing off your butt. No, he wants to be out of the room. Come here, buddy. What do you want? Meow. Buddy, can we record this video? No, come here.
Napoli.
Come sit with Megan. Or you want to go out?
Maybe he'll go out.
Do you want to go out? Do you want to go on the other side of the door? No. Sorry, Monty. He doesn't want to go on the other side of the door.
I mean, I don't know where you see this going to, buddy.
Go to Megan, would you? Oh, come here. You are so light. Alright.
Are you gonna hold him?
Yeah, I'll try to. Where was I?
I think you're basically up to this.
So we were using dowsing rods and asking for directions. The spirit kept pointing the dowsing rods at the wall in the house, right? And we were basically like, that's a wall, we can't walk around it. And the spirit changed the dowsing rods, pointed one at the door and then one to the side, like, yes, through this door and down the hall. And you'll see that here. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not in the house, but you are in the basement.
Okay. Can you use these rods to direct us to where you are, keeping in mind that we cannot walk through walls? We're going to try and do that. Which means I'm going to start here.
Because there's options. There's over here, there's an area over there, and then there's a room back there that the spirit
Can
could
you
be at.
point to where you are?
Point in the direction we need to go. It's pointing at the door. It's like you said you can't walk through walls. Okay. So I wonder if the spirit pointed through the wall because they could move through the wall, or if because for them the space didn't have that wall. But then also we get to see that they understand that it's different for us because when we were kind of being smart Alex, like we can't walk through walls, he acquiesced, right? Or he or she or they acquiesced, right? They then turned the dowsing rod to point at the door and down the hall. Like, okay, fine, you can't walk through the wall, but I think you understand where I want you to go.
Next, we're going to look at time. The earliest recorded philosophy of time was an ancient Egyptian thinker named Ptahhotep, circa 2650 to 2600 BCE. And they wrote, "Follow your desire as long as you live, and do not perform more than is ordered. Do not lessen the time of the following desire, for the wasting of time is an abomination to the spirit." The Vedas are ancient Indian and Hindu texts dating from 1999 to 1000 BCE, and they discuss cosmology and time. And what they discuss in there is a wheel of time or a cyclical understanding called the Kalchakra, and it is a cycle of creation, destruction, and then rebirth. And also, while thinking about time, there are multiple languages with that cyclical nature of it that capture that idea by having one word roots for both time and weather or season. So French le temps, Spanish temp, Hungarian Ido, Serbian and Bulgarian have vreme, Old English has tida, and Greek has kairos. And I'm going to return to kairos later. For Parmenides, who lived around 500 BCE, he's known as the founder of ontology. To him, time has its own existence. Objective existence. So kind of when we were looking at space before, whether it was objectively itself or relative, Parmenides said it subjectively exists. Heraclitus, who lived from around 540 to 480 BCE, wrote that he wrote essays on nature and the nature of time. And a famous attribution to him is that a person can't step in the same river twice. Because everything flows, in Greek it's pantarai. So for him, time is relational, relative. Things are becoming in time rather than being for his philosophy. He's also interesting because he was known as the Riddler for writing purposely dense poems, believing that if you had to work to find a hidden connection, that would be stronger than an obvious one of being given the answer. And he denies the law of non-contradiction, which states that a thing cannot be true and false at the same time. For him, everything exists through strife and tension, so having those opposites be at the same time just meant that you were traversing this path of becoming. Hippocrates lived from 460 to 357 BCE, and when he discusses time, he differentiates between kairos and chronos. There's chronos, which is quantitative time, numeric, chronological time passing on. And then there is kairos, which is qualitative. For him, that is an opening or an opportune time for discovery. Now, he's discussing it in relation to scientific discovery, where there were 4 requirements to experience a point of kairos. The first 3 are chronos. You got a field, you've got what the previous research was, you've got the present research being done, and then the last field is kairos, and that is when you introduce and present the research that you have found. Basically, it's that gap, and then you get the learnings that inform it. So Plato describes time in his creation fable portion of the Timaeus by stating basically that the demiurge, the craftsman who creates the world, makes of that eternity abiding in unity an eternal image moving according to number, that which in fact we've been calling time. So for Plato, everything we experience, again, is in that process of becoming. It is all working to emulate the demiurge's perfect forms. And in this, Plato is seen also making a distinction between eternity, becoming timeless, and then the truly timeless, which is that form to which we are trying to progress. So for Plato, time is inseparable from motion, not because it is motion, but because it is in motion. And for him also, that is soul. Johanna loves philosophy of body and soul. Mind, body.
Mind and body.
Mind, body. So
the study, wait for that presentation to come out. The study of how does my immaterial thoughts, right, affect my material body. So if I make a fist, did I make a fist because there was a bunch of neurons and stuff, firing inside my body that said roll in your fingers, clench them together? Or did I make a fist because my spirit, my soul, my mind said I would like to make a fist? And how does that relate to each other? Yes.
Aristotle states time is some kind of number of motion with respect to a before and after. Not a number as in what we count, but a number as in something that is at least countable. And so again, time is progressing. It is motion. St. Augustine of Hippo lived from 354 AD to 430 AD.
You're like, why are the numbers going in the
I
right
know,
order?
that's exactly what I did.
Where are you going?
St. Augustine of Hippo lived from 354 AD to 430 AD. In his Confessions reflects, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know. If I wish to explain it to one who asks, I know not." Like the philosophers he follows, he connects time to creation and motion, furthering that knowledge of time depends on the knowledge of the movement of things. And therefore time cannot be where there are no creatures to measure its passing. Time is again relative to others. It is becoming, but not existent on its own. In discussing time, he deals with presentism, which connects all times in the present. The past and the future exist in relation to the present. So for him, the present with respect to things that are past is memory. The present with respect to things that are present is contemplation. And the present with respect to things that are in the future is expectation. But it is all relative.
So let's talk about some time in the paranormal and what we've found out in our paranormal investigating. This is again going to be at Bobby Mackey's, and we were, trying to communicate with spirits. And so we have to wonder, when we are speaking with intelligent hauntings, are we interacting with spirits of the past? Or could they be premonitions of beings from the future? Or, like, in a way, is this some version of time travel, right? Time for them is the world that they lived in, but it's also right now the present that we're living in if we're communicating with them. We were speaking to different spirits, and we get this comment that says, "Time is changing."
We're gonna play the clip.
Oh, okay, so we'll play that.
Megan's heard a woman's voice a couple of times. Can you tell me your name?
Time is changing.
How so? I'm not sure I understand.
So now we're speaking to the spirits, and we get this comment, "Time is changing," which is very true. I don't know who this person is. I don't know when they lived, but time now is very different from the time that they were in. But it's the only time that we know. They're experiencing different times. So when we're investigating in the paranormal, are they aware of the fact that if they were a spirit maybe in the 1930s, now we're in the 2000s, are they aware of that? Or is this some sort of time slip? Like, are they there in their time and we are the shadowed figure in their world, right? Is this why we have deja vu, right? Are we, when we are investigating the paranormal and having these interactions, does something seem familiar to it because you've kind of already experienced it in a way? So time has a lot of different theories that it could be in the paranormal. Also, when we are investigating, we talk about residual spirits, right? So when we are investigating and we're listening to residual energy, what time are we in? Am I in the time of this residual energy that is giving this information, or am I still in my time? I'm in both somehow. Does the place hold that memory, right? So I'm going to play a video for you from a time we were walking on the old Natchez Trace, which was a very busy walkway for commerce and travel, and a very dangerous one. And what we were hearing as we were walking along is the sounds of perhaps a residual energy of probably a stagecoach robbery or something along those lines. So let me play that for you.
Guard the mail.
Okay.
Is there someone here with us? Could you make a noise and let us know where you are?
Please do.
I don't know if that's a response to me or more of the mail conversation.
We're coming through.
Do you need us to move aside out of your way?
Allow me to assist you.
Okay. What are you carrying with you?
Highwayman.
Yeah. I feel like a highwayman.
It's a trap.
Allow me to assist you.
I'm a builder.
You're a builder? Are you traveling to Mississippi or away from Mississippi? Looking for work?
I don't have many things.
No. I wonder if that's residual again. Kind of saying to like the robber, no, I'm a builder. And
For heaven.
I'll tell you though, this stuff doesn't disappoint for the residual communication.
Be careful.
The person who said they're a builder, if you can hear me, can you tell me your name?
That's a warning for you.
Look how beautiful this path is with the trees overgrown.
You've reached Hohenwald.
Huh. So that is actually where we are. Hohenwald, Tennessee. That is where Meriwether Lewis on, as I said, October 10th, 1809, stopped at Grinder's Stand for the night.
So that leaves the question of, do places hold those memories? And when we are listening to this residual energy, is it replaying them? It's called stone tape theory, right? That the actual physical location is holding on to that energy, holding on to that memory, and in some way replaying it for us. So we talk about being elsewhere, like we're used to that phrase, but should we also be looking at elsewhere and elsewhen? Are we in another time? Just like we would talk about being in another location.
And so now we're going to move on to combining the two of them together as space-time. So in the Inca Empire from around 1438 to 1533, there is a single concept named Pashai. And this may have meant place, land, soil, region, time, period, worlds, or universe. And this concept held together in it the culture, the people, the entirety of the empire, and its neighbors. It signaled a connection between the physical neighbors as well as ancestors to the present and the Inca people. Anthropologist Catherine J. Allen translates it as world moment, and scholar Eusebio Mangaquispe translates it as space-time. In physics, space is the distance between objects, and time is the distance between moments. So space-time is the interval between events. It's a mathematical model that fuses 3 dimensions of space and the 1 dimension of time into a single 4-dimensional continuum. Space and time together are able to be pushed and pulled, stretched and warped by matter and gravity. And this is caused by the matter and energy creating a gravitational field. The path of a particle through space-time is a sequence of events that's denoted on a graph as a curved line. Henri Poincaré was the first Western thinker who was documented using the phrase space-time when discussing the equations of physicist Hendrik Lorentz and the principle of relativity. But he didn't pursue the conversation, stating that 3-dimensional language seems best suited to the description of our world. And then in 1905, Albert Einstein built his theory of space-time around 2 postulates: the principle of relativity and the principle of the constancy of the speed of light.
So we'll bring this together. When we are interacting with spirits, especially when we're talking about intelligent hauntings, somehow they're hearing us. So are we in their space, in their time? Are they in our space or our time? Or somehow have we put those two things together? So I'm going to play a video here from Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. We are communicating with a young man named Joseph McFarland Humler.
Up here. The hill. We're in Cave Hill Cemetery. There's a number of hills. USNRF.
Swordsman?
I'm not sure what USNRF stands for. Megan heard swordsman. Can you tell me your name? Who's the swordsman?
In the back.
In the back. In the back of the cemetery?
Where you walked.
Are you talking about when we walked up the hill and we were walking up to that big obelisk near the Armstrong family?
Obelisk.
Okay. I will motion to Megan. We're going to walk. Oh, she's not following. Oh, now she's following. Okay. I feel a little bit bad because my car is in the road, but the last time we were here they said not to pull off onto the grass or anything, so...
And steps.
Am I almost near the obelisk? There's one here. Could you maybe give me a last name that I'm looking for? Height. We passed the path that each man trod.
That side.
That side? I wonder if that might be residuals. Sometimes it's hard when using the spirit box to tell, like, if something's responding or if it's residual. Like, imagine open up that one as in there, you know, opening up a grave or a mausoleum.
Killed.
France killed.
And wars. Fighting. Shots.
I was by someone before who was in World War I.
Go back.
Go back to the stone from World War I. I can do that. Is that where you would like us to go?
A long day.
Could you tell me some more about it?
Height.
Height. Here's the hard thing too, when we've gotten like a bunch of names like we got, it's hard to tell what's a sentence, what's multiple spirits communicating.
Cross.
Oh my lord! Across the street she just said, look what I just saw. Okay, we're coming. Holy gosh. In memory of Joseph McFarland Humler, born December 27th, 1892, killed in action at Soissons, France, July 20th, 1918. And Megan just said, you're right. So when we were hearing France, thank you very much, Joseph. July 20th, 1918.
The hills.
Megan said the hills. So Joseph, could you tell us a little bit about yourself or whatever you'd like to talk about? Thank you for directing us over here. Do you have other family here, or is it just you here? So that plaque.
I am here in France.
You're here in France. Did they put a stone here? Dual. Did they put a stone here for you, but your body is still in France? It says endowed. I'm going to look them up, see if there's more information I can find.
I am free.
So we have this really interesting comment from Joseph. He says that he is both here and in France. So he was. Is he also both in 1918 and 2025? When he says he's here and in France, the gravestone that we were at was a centograph. He's actually buried in France, and this gravestone was built here to give his family some place to go to. So for him, space, he's in both, and communicating with us is he in both times. Either way, we do get that great comment from him that says he is free.
Hi, buddy. So I see a hint to what we eventually call space-time in Heraclitus. Remember when I mentioned that he said we couldn't step in the same river twice? If the flowing water is time and that riverbed is space, then every time we step in it at the same spot, not only is the riverbed changed because of the water flow, but we are also changed by it. And we are related by this entire stream of particles connecting us both upstream and downstream. We're all familiar, like Joe said, with the concept of elsewhere, separable but reachable. And let's also reframe our thought to see something as else when, still separable but reachable. Think about the cyclical time, wondering if there are parts of a cycle that resonate more closely to others. And this could also, if we think about time moving and cyclical nature of it, maybe there is this repetition to it, and maybe that's part of why certain time periods seem to connect more closely. A lot of people, yes. A lot of people experience, when they go on investigations, they seem to experience spirits from the same period. Like, feel like it's pretty safe to say that most people feel like you're 1800s. Like, a lot of time you're getting people from the 1800s.
Yeah, but is that because we're in America? That's not always.
But it happens in Europe too. So we would love to experience it in Europe sometime. But anyway, are there time periods that in the cycle of this progressing time are more closely related to our current time? And so then is it easier maybe to speak to spirits from that time period? I don't know. These are questions of ontology and epistemology that we're still asking. I'm going to come back to Chronos and Kairos. Is there a similarity for space? Are some spaces quantitative, like Chronos was quantitative time, and other spaces qualitative, like Kairos was qualitative time? When a qualitative space and time come together, is that when a space-time event begins to bend reality towards it with its energy? Is this why some places seem to have more draw, more energy? Because it was both qualitative space and qualitative time. And then also keeping in mind qualitative time, specifically Kairos, let's remember what Taotep said, his 11th maxim. The wasting of time is an abomination to the spirit. So we have to seize Kairos, not just in our paranormal investigations, but in our normal lives too. It could be these qualitative moments that allow us to eventually connect and connect again and again with us and with others, crossing the boundaries of space-time for the seekers who are us and also the spirits themselves.
So that is a little bit of the theory side of the paranormal. When we talk about paranormal investigating and we talk about intelligent hauntings and residual hauntings, how am I intelligently interacting with a spirit that lived years ago, right? They were in a different time. They may have been in a different space, but here I am in my time, in my space, able to interact with them. And when we talk about residual hauntings, you know, how is it that there's no intelligence there, right? It's the location that we're in. How are we communicating them? How are we hearing this? Does the place hold that memory? Is that in that space? And now we are hearing what happened once in that space. And I think one of the most common things we talk about residual hauntings is the idea of footsteps, right? Where, you know, you're doing an investigation, you hear on the stairs and there's nobody on the stairs. But what you're not thinking about is that it is 8 p.m. and at 8 p.m. is when, you know, in the 1880s, the person came in from the fields and he walked up the steps. And so what you're hearing isn't an actual spirit or physical body moving up those steps. But somehow the steps that you're hearing is the 1880s person walking up those steps. Both in space and time, we are in a different, you know, we're in a different world and a different physical reality than that person was, but somehow they're able to interact with us. So that's us trying to make some sense of what are we doing when we are investigating and how are we able to communicate with these different spirits from a different space and a different time. So thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
From Johanna, Meghan, and Napoli.
Old Man Napoli.
Old Man Napoli, because he wanted to come into the office. All right, goodbye.